Snow drifted quietly across Pine Creek Campground, covering the ground in a deep, frozen stillness. The silence felt endless, almost holy. Michael Hayes had not come here searching for answers. He came to escape them. After 15 years as a Navy SEAL, the war had ended, but not the one inside his head. Montana's mountains were meant to give him peace, not purpose. But life had other plans. On a bitter winter morning, Michael stood behind his aging pickup truck, unloading a few cardboard boxes beside cabin 6. His movements were slow and precise, shaped by years of discipline. Tall and broad-shouldered, he still carried the posture of a soldier, though now the weight on him was memory rather than gear. Gray had begun creeping into his dark hair, and his tired blue-gray eyes carried a restlessness he could never quite shake. The campground was nearly abandoned this time of year. Summer cabins sat empty beneath thick snow, and the narrow road that wound through the trees felt forgotten by time. Michael liked it that way. Loud places triggered memories he didn't want. Here the only sounds were wind, snow, and the occasional creak of frozen wood. As he reached for another box, a faint noise cut through the air. A soft whimper, barely audible. Michael froze instantly, instincts snapping awake. He turned toward the line of old RVs near the trees. The sound came again. Leaving the box behind, he stepped carefully through the snow. Near a rusted white RV half buried in ice, something shifted. Curled beside the metal steps was a German shepherd, thin, shaking, and clearly exhausted. Its ribs showed through dirty, matted fur. One paw was tucked awkwardly beneath its body. Amber eyes lifted slowly, filled with fear and caution. Michael crouched, keeping his distance. "Easy," he said quietly, using the same calm tone he once used in combat zones. "I won't hurt you." The dog didn't move. It just watched him breathe. A voice called out from nearby. "You found him, didn't you?" Michael turned to see an elderly woman approaching carefully with a cane. She wore a thick wool coat and a red scarf, her silver hair neatly pinned back. Her eyes were kind, though tired. "I saw him wandering yesterday," she said softly. "Wouldn't let anyone near." Michael nodded. "He's scared. Been on his own too long." She smiled gently. "Most things out here are." She introduced herself as Grace Miller. Michael offered his name and a brief handshake. She noticed his posture immediately. "Military?" "Was," he replied. "Now I'm just here." Grace studied the trembling dog. "Looks like you've both been through something." Michael carefully removed his coat and draped it over the animal. Slowly he lifted the frail body into his arms. The dog tensed but didn't fight. Neither of them realized it yet, but in that frozen moment, two broken souls had just begun saving each other. Inside the cabin, warmth flickered from the wood stove as Michael laid an old blanket near the fire. The dog remained tense, watching every movement with guarded eyes. Michael filled a bowl with water and set it nearby, then sat against the wall, giving the animal space. He knew trust couldn't be rushed. That night, Michael didn't sleep. He stayed near the stove, listening to the shallow rhythm of breathing across the room. It reminded him of nights overseas when silence meant survival. He hadn't named the dog yet. Names felt like promises, and promises carried weight. Just before dawn, a knock came at the door. Grace stood outside holding a thermos, snow clinging to her boots. "Thought you could use something warm," she said. Inside, she poured hot cocoa and set down a small biscuit. "How's he doing?" "Still here," Michael answered. "That's something." Grace knelt slowly, her movements careful. "Trust takes time," she said gently. "You don't take it, you earn it." She placed the biscuit halfway across the floor and backed away. After a long pause, the dog crept forward and took it. Michael exhaled quietly. It was the first sign of progress. Over the next days, a rhythm formed. Michael cleared snow, chopped wood, and sat through long nights by the fire. The dog ate slowly but steadily. He watched everything, every sound, every movement, like a soldier still waiting for danger. Eventually, Michael whispered a name aloud. "Ranger." The dog's ears twitched. At the vet clinic in White Pine, Dr. Ellen Larson confirmed what Michael suspected. Ranger had training. Not random obedience, structured, professional instruction. Likely police or military. But something had gone wrong. He hadn't finished. "Dogs like this are pushed hard," she explained. "Some don't make the cut." Michael understood that kind of failure too well. Back at Pine Creek, Ranger slowly grew stronger. He stayed close now, following Michael's movements with quiet focus. When gunfire echoed from distant hunters one morning, Ranger bolted into the woods, panic taking over. Michael didn't chase. He followed calmly. Hours later, beneath a fallen pine, Michael found him curled and shaking. He sat down in the snow and waited. "You don't have to come out," he said softly. "I'm not leaving." Eventually, Ranger crawled forward and pressed his head into Michael's hand. From that moment on, something changed. The fear didn't vanish, but it loosened its grip. And for the first time since the war, Michael felt the weight in his chest ease just a little. Weeks passed and winter deepened its hold on Pine Creek. Ranger filled out, his strength returning along with his confidence. His movements became precise, his attention sharp. Michael began testing simple hand signals: stop, sit, stay. Ranger responded instantly, as if remembering a language he never forgot. The teamwork stirred something familiar inside Michael. Purpose. One morning, a gray government SUV pulled into the campground. Two officers stepped out, Captain Aaron Whitaker and Officer Lena Brooks from Montana Search and Rescue. They watched Ranger carefully as he responded to commands with flawless discipline. "That's not survival behavior," Whitaker said. "That's training." They explained their mission: rebuilding a K-9 rescue unit for avalanche response. Ranger had the instincts, the drive, the intelligence. Michael didn't answer right away. That night, Grace handed him a letter written by her late husband. One line stood out: "If you love something, don't trap it in your comfort. Help it become what it's meant to be." The next morning, Michael made his choice. When the SUV returned, Ranger climbed in without hesitation. Before the door closed, he pressed his head into Michael's palm. "You saved me," Michael whispered. "Now go save others." Months passed. Updates came then stopped. Silence returned. Michael filled his days with work, helping around the campground. Grace fell ill one winter, and Michael cared for her the way she once cared for him. Then, nearly a year later, the phone rang. "Ranger completed advanced training," Captain Whitaker said. "We're running a recognition test. We want to see if he remembers you." Michael didn't hesitate. "I'll be there." The training field at Montana Ridge was silent under fresh snow. Michael stood near the treeline, heart pounding, hands still. Ranger was released into the field, focused and alert. He sniffed the air, paused, then turned sharply. Their eyes met. For a moment, time froze. Then Ranger ran. He crossed the snow like a missile, leaping into Michael's chest with a sound that wasn't a bark, but something deeper. Recognition. Relief. Love. Michael dropped to his knees, gripping the dog tightly. "You remember?" he whispered, voice breaking. Ranger pressed his forehead into Michael's chest, tail thumping wildly. The evaluation ended with full certification. Ranger became a Level 1 Avalanche Rescue K-9. Back at Pine Creek, Grace watched the recording through tears. "Some love never forgets," she said softly. Ranger returned often with his unit, passing through the valley. Every time, he looked toward a small cabin hidden among the trees. And sometimes Michael would pause mid-task, sensing something loyal and alive still watching over him. This story isn't just about a man and a dog. It's about second chances. About patience. About love that heals without words. Some miracles don't arrive with noise or fire from the sky. They come quietly, on four paws, reminding us that no soul is ever truly forgotten.